Hey there, and I'm Emmanuel. Welcome to If I Can, You Can, where if I can do it, you can do it too. Now, this channel is based around real estate investing and home renovations, and hopefully you can learn from some of my mistakes along your journey. Now, today we're going to be talking about DIY versus contractor, when to save money, and when to splurge. Now, if you like this content, please like, subscribe, or hit the little notification icon. Or if you want to hear more about this or have me go more in detail, please leave a comment below. But let's get into it. In this video, we're going to be going over when to tackle a project yourself and when to hire it out to a professional. Now, some key factors you want to keep in mind is cost, your skill level, the complexity of the project, and any of the time that you have to put towards the project. First, let's go over the advantages of DIY. Well, you're going to have savings on labor costs, absolutely. That's the biggest one we can talk about because you're putting in that sweat equity and you're doing it all yourself. Secondly, you're going to have that expertise that comes with knowing how to do that process. Because as you walk that process, you'll figure out what is needed for it, how long it should take, and then when you're doing stuff in the future and you're dealing with contractors, you have a better estimate on how much they should really be pricing you and put you in a stronger point of negotiation and knowing what needs to be done and how to price things. And the last thing is, it is cool to build stuff. When you actually do stuff yourself and you see it completed, you have pride in knowing that you did it yourself. So don't discount that too. Okay, let's look into some considerations when doing your own DIY process. One of them is if it's a low risk task, because you don't want to get into something that's a structural change for your first time. You want to make sure that anything you work on has a low cost to fix if you messed it up and if it's your first time doing it. So with that, you also want to keep to small projects. Painting, a little bit of landscaping, changing doorknobs, minor fixes, easy stuff. You can save a whole lot of money doing this. Perfect kind of projects. Now, you also have the time and resources to do this too. If you have a flip going on and you don't have a whole lot of time to put into going and doing all the labor and you don't have the skills or the knowledge or anything, that is not when you want to do it because it's going to have holding costs and they're just going to eat your life because the project's going to take forever to do by yourself. Now with that, you also want to keep in mind the skill of it. You don't want to have anything that's too complex that you may need 3-4 people to do, or you need a specialty of electrician or plumbing certification to do also, because that's going to be out of your wheelhouse and way out of your abilities. But the other thing you want to keep in mind is investing in tools too. Now these are small upfront costs, but on the back end, if you take care of your tools, it can really help you out. The other day I saw that the house we're in right now, there was the fence had a little piece of plywood on there and it was just screwed into the wall, into the fence post, and I had no idea what the repair was. My knowledge in what I've done previously, I just went up there, kind of looked at it, and I noticed that whoever put up the fence post ended up cutting a 2x4 3 inches too short and was too lazy to go get a proper size 2x4. And instead of doing that, they took this piece of plywood and that piece of plywood was rotting out because it was outside exposed to the elements. And all it took was going down to the local Home Depot, getting some pressure treated 2x4 and replacing that board and cutting it to the right size. That is a simple project I did for less than $10. But if I had to have a contractor do it, it was going to cost me a lot more. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these things, that you can build up your skills to do this and the things that go into that, because I may not have been able to do it if I didn't have a screwdriver, drill, tape measure, the basic things. And those can be used on other projects as well. Now let's talk about the downsides of DIY. Primarily, it's going to take a lot longer when you do it by yourself. So keep that in mind. Also, you have some risk of safety. You may dig into something that's electrical, shock yourself, you put a screw through a plumbing line. All these things are possible if you don't know what you're doing. So there are some inherent risks that come along with that too. So, but if you have the time and you live in the house and you're replacing doorknobs, keep it low risk, but keep in mind there are potential things that you need to fix if you mess them up along the way too. So that's another downside of DIY. When you make mistakes, you may need to hire someone else or rip it out and redo it again. Okay, so we talked about DIY. Let's talk about contractors. When should you hire a contractor? Well, let's talk about specialized work. If you have an HVAC system that went bad and you don't know how to do anything to an HVAC or even how that works, you want to hire out someone who's certified in handling those systems. Same thing goes with plumbing and electrical. If you're running more wire or you have to move plumbing around and you don't know what you're doing, leave that to the people that are professionals. The other thing too is the complexity of the work. If you have to do structural changes to the house and you need a team of 10 people, but all you have is yourself, just let the experts do that, because there's a whole lot that can go wrong with that process. At the same time, if you need building permits and code compliance, leave that to the experts, because the inspector's going to come through and you don't know what you're doing. You're going to have a lot harder of a time getting that to pass if you don't leave it up to somebody who knows what they're doing. And especially if it's a major system that can cost way more to do it again right. Now, the last thing and the kind of more obvious one is if you have time limitations into the project. If you need to turn a flip quickly and you don't have a crew of 10 people, let them take care of it, take care of the process itself. Or let's say they have tooling they need. They need a jackhammer, it costs $1,300, but they use it all the time. However, you don't know how to use it and you're only going to use it once. That is not worth the time and the money to learn how to use it and to spend it on one thing. You're never going to get your return on investment for that tooling. Now, there's something that people don't typically take into account, and that is the hybrid approach. You don't necessarily need to do everything yourself or everything needs to be a contractor. You can have a conversation of distributing certain tasks between you and the contractor. Now, you can either do the prep work or some of the lighter work that they don't want to do or is at the end of the project for finishing touches. For example, in the bathroom, I had to redo the entire bathroom for the master bathroom of this house I'm living in. Now with that, I brought in a contractor and they were able to tear down the tile, and we just wanted them to redo the tile. I had the vanity, I knew how to install the vanity. It was a fairly simple process, just reinstalling the tub, painting and doing some of the paint and removing the crown molding. All that was done myself, and we were able to keep the cost very, very low on that project. Now, in comparison to that, it cost us about $8,000 to do the renovation when everything was said and done for the master bathroom, as compared to a neighbor of ours that did their renovation and it cost them $35,000 for 2 bathrooms to be done, and it's still not even done yet. So if you look at splitting the cost on that, you may be able to do something. Also, if you look at the complex jobs that are risky too, let's take, for example, roofing. I don't go on roofs. I try not to. With every ounce of my being, I try not to do it. It's a very dangerous process to do that. But if I hire a roofer out and they're able to give me a small discount if I bring in the dumpster myself and I take the old shingles and move them from the ground when they throw it off and put it into the dumpster, that's something that I could do in my spare time and save money into the budget. Now, will the contractors always say yes to this? Not necessarily, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's worth asking the question to see if they're able to do it. If they say no, then you know what the price is and you can make a decision from there. That's all I have for DIY versus contractor, when to do one over the other. Just keep in mind, you want to look at the 3 things that are skill, time, and the complexity of the projects in particular. Other than that, just let me know what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, select the notification icon. If you have things that you want to hear more about, please leave it in the comments below. Or if you want me to expand on anything, please tell me that too. I want to hear everything. But for right now, that's all I have, and I'll see you in the next one.